And what was the story you were I don't know if it was a story, but you said that most people think that they picture their attack or their assault or what the progression of what
Oh,
happens. They think they're just going to get
yeah.
abducted in a parking lot or something, and then
Yeah.
that's how everything is going to. Could you
So,
speak to that?
sure. So sexual predators, sexual predation, especially like say sex slavery, is a really hot topic right now. Everybody wants to talk about it, and it is a thing. I don't want to downplay that. I would say, um, everybody's what the most common version of that I hear how that occurs is the white van in the parking lot peeling up, grabbing your teenager, throwing him in the car, at the mall, taking off. You never see him again. Does that happen? Sure. But who that generally happens to are people who probably aren't here in this podcast. They're people who are homeless, drug addicts, already. No one is going to miss those people. And that's who that happens to. It does occasionally happen to other people, but we're talking a percent of a percent of a percent if you look at the stats. So how does it happen? I'll give you an example from a recent, university in my state does a study every year for like the last 20 years on sexual predation. So they've been doing it before it was cool. And I attended their conference again this year just to kind of gut check, make sure nothing big had changed stat wise. And they mentioned a typical case just so the audience had an idea of what they were seeing. And their typical case was pretty familiar. It was three young girls, three minor girls go to the mall together and hang out. Older guy, and by older I mean like late 20s, well dressed, very well groomed, very articulate, approaches and says, "Hey," and they're standoffish. They're like, "This dude's a stranger. What's going on?" But he says, "Hey, I know this is weird, but I won this $500 gift card, and I've got this gift card. I don't know. I don't go to the mall. I don't know what to spend this on, but I got this $500 gift card. Like, do you want anything? Do you want to help me spend it? Like, we can just figure out what I should buy." And so he then spends the next, and they're a little standoffish, but over the next several hours, he buys them all sorts of stuff. He buys himself stuff, nails, things like that. And at the end of the day, they all go their separate ways. And one girl drives away in her car. One girl gets a ride from a family member. And the third girl has to take the bus. So who do you think he predates on? So he drives around and stops at the bus stop, and everybody's now thinking this is the time when he snatches her or gets her in the car and drives her to the sex dungeon. No. This is the time where he very kindly offers her a ride home and says, "Hey, this sucks. Everybody else is gone. Like, you've been with me all day. You're in my car. You know who I am. I'll give you a ride home." And he waits. And on the ride home, she vents a little bit because it's quiet time. So what do? If you're a teenager, you talk. So she's going, "Yeah, hey," and she gets onto a subject of stuff that's bothering her that she can't tell her parents because she lost her virginity and her parents are incredibly religious and did not want her to lose her virginity before marriage. She has not told them. And of course, he is the understanding soul. "Oh my God. Well, you know what? If you ever need to talk to me, here's my phone number. You can text me anytime. I'll never tell anybody, that whatever." Well, this girl doesn't have anybody else in her life that she can tell these things to. And so she found someone. And that's a key component right there. We'll come back to. So she goes home. Nothing happens. He drops her off. A month later of back and forth texting, they have progressed to the point where she has told him a lot of secrets. And then one day he texts and says, "Hey, remember that $500 gift card? It turned out to be fraud and I got to pay it back. And because I spent it on you, you got to help me pay that back. It was your responsibility too. And if you don't, I'm going to tell your parents that stuff you told me."
Mm-hmm.
And who's she going to go to? Now, if she had parents that she felt like she could go to her parents at this point,
Mm-hmm.
that's the end of this story.
Right.
But she didn't, because her parents, she knew the wrath of her parents was worse in her mind than anything else she could do. So she starts trying to fix it. And
Mhm.
she ends up taking off her clothes as a minor at parties so that he can get paid for that back for the gift card. And hey, what do you know? You're getting someone else is getting paid for you to take your clothes off.
Mhm.
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
So sex slavery.
Mhm.
And it progresses from there. Then usually drugs get involved and other stuff like that. But that is the typical case.